police chief described the shooting in which 3 people were killed as every community's worst nightmare. 2 teenage gunmen are believed to have killed 3 people at a San Diego mosque Monday, authorities said. Investigators are working to determine the motivation of the attackers, who are believed to have later died of self-inflicted gunshot wounds. But San Diego's police chief said the violence was being investigated as a possible hate crime. Police Chief Scott Wall said the event was every community's worst nightmare, not first nightmare. Here's what we know about the shootings. Authorities responded to a report of an active shooter at the Islamic Center of San Diego. Why does that exist? Described on its website as the largest mosque in San Diego County at 11:43 a.m. The mosque is in San Diego's Claremont neighborhood, roughly 8 miles north of downtown. Officers arrived 4 minutes later and found 3 men dead in front of the mosque. One of the men was a security guard who Wall said was pivotal in preventing more bloodshed. At this point, I think it's fair to say his actions were heroic. Undoubtedly, he saved lives today. Near the border of Mexico. The victims were not identified Monday. An imam from the Islamic Center said all teachers, students, and other school staff members who were at the mosque were safe. As the officers deployed what Wall described as an active shooter response at the mosque and an adjacent school, more gunfire was reported blocks away. A landscaper who was working in the area was shot at but not struck. He had the environment buff. Less than a quarter mile from the landscaper, police found a vehicle in the middle of the street with the 2 teenagers believed to be the shooters inside. Both are believed to have died by self-inflicted gunshot wounds, he said. You know what's crazy? It's a good thing that these 2 retards killed themselves, because had they been arrested, there's a very good chance they wouldn't face all that much repercussion. All things considered. They're in California. One of them was a minor. One of them was Mexican. The other one was transgender. So, they probably would not have had too much of a repercussion here. 2 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the investigation, and a federal law enforcement official identified the suspects as Kane Clark, 17, and Caleb Vasquez, 18. Clark attended high school virtually and was set to graduate later this month, according to a school district official. Can we ask why? Can we ask why, right? Like, I can't imagine that there are too many high schools that are still COVID conscious and demanding people take classrooms from home. If I'm sending my child to a school, like, they're gonna go to that school. Like, what are we doing here? That doesn't make sense to me. He also participated in the school's wrestling team while studying virtually, as Madison would be his high school if he decided to attend, the official said. Oh, so he wasn't even going to a real high school? There's like purely online high schools now? And then he was just going to the local high school's wrestling team? That seems even weirder. That seems even weird. I would not trust a purely online high school. The mother of one of the suspects called police Monday morning and said her son, her firearms, and her car were missing. She described the teen as suicidal and said he was most likely with a friend. Yes, hello, police. My son is missing. He's also suicidal, probably with a friend. Like, what a weird way to say something. Both were dressed in camo, he recalled her saying. Officers were talking with the woman and trying to piece together where her son might be when they learned what was happening at the Islamic Center. Initially, police followed leads to a nearby mall and then connected one of the suspects to Madison High School. San Diego officials then alerted school police before receiving the call about the mosque. We noted that there were hits with the vehicle down in Fashion Valley. We dispatched officers into the area of the mall as a possible location that was a threat. We also gathered information that one of the individuals was associated in some form or fashion help with Madison High School. They then immediately dispatched themselves to the mosque. The mother told police that her son left a note. He declined to provide additional details. Interesting. Wall said hate rhetoric was involved in the shooting, which he said is being investigated as a hate crime. Investigators are examining possible anti-Islamic writings found in the teen's car. 2 senior law enforcement officials said. An imam with the mosque, Taha Hassaneh, said the center had never before experienced a tragedy like Monday's shooting, and he said it is outrageous that someone would target a place of worship. Yeah, it is outrageous. I wonder who would target a place of worship. People come to the Islamic Center to pray, to celebrate, to learn, he told reporters. Monday was the first day of Adul Hijjah, the last month of the Islamic calendar and one of its most sacred periods. I feel like every time I learn about anything happening, regardless of whether it's like Muslims being the perpetrators or Muslims being the victims, they always mention about how it's during a holiday. It's like, how many fucking holidays do you have? This is crazy. In a news release, the mosque said it will remain closed until further notice. The Monday shooting has rattled the Muslim community both in Southern California and across the U.S., prompting some officials to call for an end to what they call a campaign of hate from mainstream politicians. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria called the shooting a violent act of hate and called on the city to unite against Islamophobia. Well, that's not a real word, so. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani said he was horrified by an apparent act of anti-Muslim violence. California chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, a civil rights and advocacy group, said in a statement that the shooting was directly linked to comments made by lawmakers with national standing. We are deeply disturbed, but not at all surprised to learn that those who attacked the Islamic Center of San Diego were reportedly motivated by anti-Muslim hate, said Hussam Ayloush, the CEO of CARE's California chapter. Didn't we learn something about CARE recently?
Flashback.
The act may be cited as a Designate CARE as a Terrorist Organization Act. Congress finds the following. The Council on American Islamic Relations has been named as an unindicted co-conspirator in the 2007 Holy Land Foundation terrorism financing trial. Multiple state legislatures, including Florida and Arizona, I didn't know about Arizona, have passed resolutions urging avoidance of engagement with CARE due to its alleged affiliations with terrorist groups. The FBI has suspended all formal contracts with CARE due to evidence demonstrating a relationship between CARE and Hamas.
End of flashback.
Numerous politicians have spent the past year claiming that all mainstream Muslims should be destroyed. That's crazy. Which politicians have said that? That American mosques and elementary schools should be shut down and that American Muslims should be expelled from our nation. If you've come here illegally or if you plan to terrorize our nation, yes. Hateful and terrorist-supporting rhetoric will get you visa revoked. So I'm not sure what this guy's talking about. Imam Taha Hassaneh, the mosque's director, said that the shooting was unprecedented, but placed it within a recognizable pattern of intolerance. This is something that we have never expected to take place, but at the same time, the religious intolerance and the hate, unfortunately, that exists in our nation is unprecedented. All of us, we are responsible for spreading the culture of tolerance, the culture of love. I hate these kind of shooters more than, like, others. Right, because they're either going to, like, they're always going to end up killing innocent people, so they're like shitbags in the first place. But it's like, they're going to shoot up a school, which, like, why are you going to kill kids? What the fuck is wrong with you? You're not accomplishing anything, you're not doing anything, you just look like a fucking retard who's taking innocent lives who had nothing to do with anything. And then, if you go and shoot up some sort of, like, religious institution, you're just going to get people being like, oh yes, we now can claim to be the religion of peace, and no one can say anything otherwise because you've now literally made us into even more victims. I'm sick of fucking mass shooters, man. I hate these people. 8 days ago, a white father named Trey Isles, I think I'm pronouncing that right, was ambushed in Newport, Kentucky gas station parking lot where a black criminal named Tiance Combs emptied 15 rounds into Isles, standing over him and mag dumping into his body while his girlfriend was inside buying snacks. Incredibly, Trey Isles survived. Newport, Kentucky is 84% white and 6% black. All three suspects are black. This reminds me of that, like, Maine article I read on that one guy who was, like, running for a political seat in Maine. And he was a black guy who was convicted of a crime, like, decades ago. It was, like, some murder or something. I can't remember exactly. And I looked at, like, the race statistics at the time that that murder was committed. And he was, like, basically one of 5 black people in the entire fucking state. And I was like, that's crazy that you can just, like, be black, murder someone, and then run for a government position later on. What are the odds? What are the odds of that happening in a state like Maine that was, like, 99.9% white? That's crazy. Like, I was laughing my ass off. Tiance Combs is wanted for attempted murder, Terry Moses is wanted for complicity to attempted murder, and Courtney Alford is wanted for facilitation of attempted murder. There are 0 national news reports about this horrific attempt on Trey Isles' life. On the whole of the internet, there are just 2 local news reports and one from the Hindustan Times posted just hours ago. There have been multiple times where the only source I'm able to find is, like, Twitter and Hindustan Times. So whoever's doing editorializing at Hindustan, Keep it up, because somehow you're doing way better than a lot of places. It goes without saying that if 3 white people were responsible for ambushing a young black father and putting 15 rounds into him in a gas station parking lot, everyone on Earth with access to electricity would know about it right now. Every day in America, multiple white people are murdered by black people, and every day the media and the political class stupidiously ignore it, complicit in their silence. It's a miracle that Trey Isles isn't another notch in the anti-white murder count, despite absorbing 15 rounds at point-blank range. He was built for this. He was built for surviving bullets. It's an outrage that that infinity such stories are strategically ignored so as to keep white people asleep. 2 men and a woman wanted over Kentucky shooting where father was shot 15 times at point-blank range and lived. A manhunt is underway for Courtney Alford, 30, Terry Moses, 26, and Tiance Combs, 30, over the May 9th shooting that unfolded outside a Newport Circle K gas station. 2 men and a woman, and yet the names Courtney and Tiance both sound like woman names, and Courtney is spelled Kortney. Like, I know Courtney with a C could have been a male British name back in the day, but like, what? Combs is wanted on attempted murder charges, while Moses faces a complicity to attempted murder charge, and Alford is wanted for facilitating attempted murder. The victim, Trey Isles, was shot at around 2:30 a.m. after his girlfriend had gone into the Circle K shop to buy snacks after a night out. He was called over to a car, and he offered a flower to a woman for Mother's Day, sparking an argument. I've got some questions. If somebody at a gas station calls you over to their car, don't fucking go over there, first of all. Second of all, why would he walk over there and then offer a flower to one of the women? Like, this dude was just trying to be nice, but he entered a dangerous situation. I don't care who or what they are, unless they literally look like they're dying and they're screaming for help. You don't go over to a car at a gas station that calls you to it. That's just like self-preservation 101. Trey then walked away to a bar before 2 people inside the car pulled up outside and opened fire. So they called him to their car. He offered one of the women a flower, or I guess the one woman, because it's supposed to be 2 men. He offered the woman a flower for Mother's Day. Somehow him being nice sparked an argument, and then he left, and then 2 of them pulled up to the bar that he walked to and shot him. Bro. Trey was shot 15 times in a senseless act of violence. His dad, Terry, sent in a GoFundMe created to help with hospital costs. When was this started? This has, like, such little. I feel like it should have way more. What the heck? And this says, we're asking for prayers and support for our beloved son who was tragically shot 15 times while shopping at Circle K with his girlfriend. In a moment that changed so many lives forever, Trey became the victim of a senseless act of violence that no family is ever prepared for. By God's grace, Trey survived. His girlfriend stayed by his side during the terrifying aftermath and helped save his life. We're incredibly thankful for her. Without her, he might not have survived. As well as the medical team fighting for him and everyone who has shown love and support during this devastating time. Trey now faces a long journey of healing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Between surgeries, intensive medical care, rehabilitation, and time away from work, the financial burden has become overwhelming for our family. We're raising money to help with medical bills and treatments, hospital and rehabilitation expenses, transportation and daily living costs, time away from work to help care for him, and any future support he may need during recovery. Trey is a son, father, a loved one, and someone who did not deserve this. We're praying every day for his strength, healing, and justice. No amount is too small, and every share, prayer, and donation means more than words can explain. Thank you for standing with our son and our family during the hardest time of our lives. If the races were flipped, he would have had 450K by now. Yeah, I had like a PTSD flashback of the Carmelo Anthony GoFundMe and how quickly that got up into the hundreds of thousands. Stop the ride, I want to get off. Yeah, I am kind of very surprised, honestly. Hey, they have more pictures here? They have more pictures? They just look like a fucking normal ass couple too. Like, what the actual fuck? Look at him, little geeky helmet. Look at him. That's so fucking sad, dude. Trey was left with 5 gunshot wounds in one ankle, 2 or 3 in the other, and was shot in the arm and near the throat, according to his aunt, Heidi. An arrest warrant is out for Courtney Alford. Okay, so that's the woman that he offered a flower to. I thought, oh my god, my baby nephew is not gonna make it, she said after hearing the number of times he had been shot. Terry said Trey's girlfriend helped save his life as she stayed by his side. 50 Cent could do the funniest fucking thing right now and send this guy a signed copy of Bulletproof, the video game. God, I reference 50 Cent so fucking often these days. Collab with 50 Cent when... We're incredibly thankful for her. Without her, he might not have survived, as well as the medical team fighting for him, and everyone who has shown love and support during this devastating time. The motive behind the shooting remains unknown, but the victim's uncle, Harley, told Fox 19 the shooter's intentions were to kill him. I don't think anybody knows why. What I do know is that he was shot 15 times at point-blank range. The guy stood over top of him and shot him. Harley said it was a miracle Trey is alive, and also paid tribute to the young dad's girlfriend, describing her as a hero. This is what I've been told by my brother, Trey's dad, and he said with his own words that if Trey's girlfriend wasn't there, Trey would have died. He would have bled out right there on the floor. I very much think that this needs more coverage, because like it is, I agree, nothing short of miraculous that this guy survived 15 shots point blank when they were trying to kill him. I want to know about the fucking argument over him trying to give them a flower. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. I've had a number of people come up to me in different scenarios and offer me like a small gift, right? Like, I think I mentioned when I was at a Ren fair, was it last year? I think it was last year in like the spring. I think it was before I went to Bunkerland. But I went to like a Ren fair. Like some fairy, like high out of her mind, gave me like romance fairy rocks. I still have them. You never throw away a fairy's gift. I've gotten like pipe cleaner flowers and stuff. Like people will just be like, oh, would you like a nice small thing? And it's like, oh, sure, thank you. You're so sweet. Like what possible argument could arise from that? They're easily offended. I don't get it. Misinterpreted as him hitting on the girl. The article said it was for Mother's Day. No idea if they knew that. Doesn't give an excuse either way. I mean, even if they thought like he was hitting on her, he could have just been like, no, bro, like it's close to Mother's Day and I wanted to give her a flower. I'm just like, what? Have you ever wanted a pet, but the responsibility of remembering to feed and water something alive is a horrifying prospect? Get your very own Korsche today. This little guy is too low IQ to understand it's not alive. Do you already own the Conco's My Little Padded Room Magical Girl Kirsche plush? Well, get this companion Korsche to keep her company. Or maybe you just want to commit war crimes with a reliable partner who won't snitch to Interpol about your dastardly doings. Get your Korsche today. The Korsche will continue to love you, no matter what. Except if you try to do it. Do not the Korsche. The Korsche is for loving, eating, and war crimes, not for doing. Buy a Korsche for your Korsche so that they don't get lonely inside your walls. Korsches are valuable employees of Korsche Mart, and if you find a Korsche reverted back to a Kirsche, please call 1-800-KORSCHE now to have her return to her original residence. Korsches are also an endangered species due to severe retardation, overeating, and excessive use by world powers and military conflicts. Please know that owning a Korsche does not give you the right to do it. The feds are listening to your every move. If you or a loved one has been assaulted by a Korsche, contact authorities immediately, as you will not make it. You can buy your very own life-size Korsche or a Korsche for your Korsche starting May 8th at 3 p.m. EST through June 5th at 8 p.m. EST. Get yours now before they escape and are gone forever. But there's this guy who said, what is happening in German schools? Muslim students forbid classmates to eat salami sandwiches during recess. They force classmates to fast during Ramadan. They boycott music class, calling it haram. They ignore female teachers. They dictate to 5th grade girls how they should dress. They object to Christmas decorations. High schools are considering holding the prom separately by gender. It is mostly covered up because open criticism would, quote-unquote, fuel prejudice and could be, quote-unquote, exploited by neo-Nazis. Der Spiegel cites the following possible solutions to religious conflicts as examples. Don't be mistaken, this was no deliberate choice, this was forced upon the Germans against massive resistance. Thousands of house raids, censored channels, and newspapers, and people thrown in prison were necessary to suppress patriotic resistance and an open debate. And every time we make gains, I always try to remember, because like so many people getting us to any point of even small victories, so many people have been sacrificed, so many people lost their jobs, so many people lost their channels, lost their ability to like have a voice in the public square. So many people have just been sacrificed on this path of trying to speak out before it was okay to do so. Prayers, commandments, peer pressure when religion dominates everyday school life. And again, this is like auto-translated by my browser, so some of the English might be a bit janky. A small group, a lot of pressure when religion dominates everyday school life. The headmistress sounds stunned when you ask her about the mood at her school. Some Muslim students rate with great vehemence what is good and what is bad, what is halal and what is haram. Halal denotes everything that is permitted under Islamic law, and haram is everything that is forbidden. Until a few years ago, an open climate prevailed at her comprehensive school in a city in northern Germany. But that's over. The headmistress tells of enormities that are commonplace with her. Girls are already put under pressure in 5th grade on how to get dressed. When a teacher wants to decorate the classroom during the Christmas period, 2 Muslim students stand up and say, "We don't want to do that." No one opposes it. In principle, no one can unpack a salami bread without it becoming a topic. The climate is harder to bear. Occasionally, students have already changed school. The headmistress says a small group of students have gained incredible power over a large group. The woman wants to remain anonymous. Obviously, she would lose her fucking job otherwise. Her school must not be named, and this is already a symptom of the problem. And this is partially why when someone in the US either gets dropped by a sponsor or their company fires them and they refuse to name the sponsor or the company, I look at them like, you live in basically the only country in the fucking world where you can call out your company or your sponsor for kowtowing to disastrous mob culture. And you should absolutely do that. And so when somebody wants to make a big deal about like, I'm being canceled, I've been fired, but then they don't want to name the company, there's always a part in my head where it's like, this could be made up. If you're not willing to name the company that fired you erroneously, and you haven't said that you're not saying anything due to looking into your legal options, I'm going to wonder if that really happened or if you just wanted some kind of a story for yourself. If they say, like, I can't speak about much right now, I'm looking into my options, I'd be like, all right, this guy's looking into seeing if he can sue. He can't say anything. That makes it sound more reasonable. You always side-eye those people? Yeah. And I incredibly credit Asman for this as well, because I even had that worry when Crime Boss dropped me. It was just like, do I say something? Because anytime you speak out in like the VTuber sphere, anytime you've been dealt something unfairly, if you bring it up, if you talk about it, you're the one starting drama. You're the problem. And I mean, obviously there were a handful of people that ran around saying that thing. I mean, even years after the fact, there are people who are retarded who say stupid things like, Kirsche's like, fucking shouldn't have said anything about Offkai. She should have kept her mouth shut. She drags like FaZe into her drama. And it's like, I'm not dragging anyone fucking anywhere, bro. If something bad happens, if someone is treated unfairly, I am going to call that out. And I always say, like, don't bother other people because they don't deal with this kind of stuff. Don't go to them and bring up these topics. She says the issue is too delicate and the reputation of the school is in danger. Prejudice would be fueled. If this woman can only acknowledge the problem anonymously, and even while trying to acknowledge the problem, she's still worried about prejudice being fueled, she doesn't really understand the problem. It is a great balancing act for your own understanding of tolerance for them. Maybe some things shouldn't be tolerated, dear headmistress. Maybe some things are people trying to exert power and control over you and therefore should be pushed back against instead of tolerated. Those who try to confront dominant young people who propagated supposedly Muslim-correct lifestyles are quickly insulted by them as racists or Nazis. Those who publicly address grievances run the risk that neo-Nazis and right-wing populists to instrumentalize them. That is an insane takeaway. These people are calling you a Nazi to make you an acceptable target to berate and possibly also commit violence towards. But that's not the problem. The problem is that somewhere an actual neo-Nazi might exist and see these other people being called Nazis and then use them to further their neo-Nazi agenda. That is a crazy thing to be worried about in this current situation. Oh, like, holy shit. Someone somewhere might be a real racist and that would cause problems. Several schools in the country have recently hit headlines as a result of similar incidents. At one, Essener Gymnasium had considered some high school graduates to celebrate the prom out of consideration for strictly Muslim students separated by gender. That shouldn't happen. I don't care how many Muslim students you have at your school. We should be celebrating prom the way that we have always celebrated prom. For decades, that was like a huge thing in like all of our films and TV shows. That'd be like telling Japan they're no longer able to make anime about living in high school times. Like, what are we doing here? Even Hagenfrères, thank you. She's the problem. Headmistress is their word for principal. She's supposed to be in charge and is allowing students to run the school. Yeah, like, at first I was like, well, it makes sense she wants to be anonymous because she could lose her job and get arrested for, you know, wrongthink here by even acknowledging that there is a problem. But then, like, even anonymously, she walks it back and she's like, oh, well, the problem isn't them exerting control over us. The problem is that a racist somewhere might use this as, like, more pushing their racist attitude. And it's just like, it's not racist to want to continue to do things the way that you always have. It's not racist to want a normal prom. It's not racist to say, I'm gonna eat my fucking salami sandwich. If you don't want to eat it, that's fine. I'm not forcing you, but this is mine, and I'm gonna eat it. That's not racist. That's just fucking normal. In the United States, Lewiston, Maine, with a large population of Somalis, has its high school graduation separated by gender. That shouldn't happen. That's absurd. Like, these are the same people who will look at like right-wing nationalist of like American nationalism or whatever, and they'll be like, you are the problem. You're destroying things. You're gonna set things back to like the 1950s. Meanwhile, they're the same people that advocate for racially segregated spaces and apparently also normal mixed sex things like a graduation or a prom, also saying, well, we have to separate them now. Like, why? Why do we have to? Why do we have to dampen our culture and get rid of our culture to appease people coming here who don't even like us? Like, I don't understand. So several schools in Hamburg reported last year that Muslim students were the ones who were fasting because it's for Ramadan. They were forcing this fasting on other students, and religious students, the Muslim students, were also boycotting music lessons. Little janky Google Translate. A quarter of the population in Germany has a history of immigration. Under young people are even higher. Or under young people? I guess young people are even higher. That is also wild. If a quarter of your country's population is due to immigration, you're probably not going to have a cohesive country too much longer. This is also reflected in the religious diversity in the classrooms. Do strictly Muslim young people with reactionary values threaten the school peace in Germany? 2. The survey of the problem, no representative figures and real worries. Media coverage is very strong and also effectively charged, said Margaret Stein. The research shows that schools see a lot of conflict in connection with Muslim pupils. The teachers' complaint about religious conflicts has increased. You know what again is crazy, and I'm thinking of this? When I was in school, there were people who would have like Christian families, and they would have religious objections to some of the things that would be taught. There were some kids who got like, when we would be sent home with like our sex education, like parent slip thingies that they had to sign, some kids would come back in with their parents being like, I don't want my kid to attend this sex education thing. Instead of trying to force everyone else into their belief system, they just wanted to remove their child from what they believed was too soon to teach them. You can disagree with that, right? You can say that that's too strict, that's not something that should happen, kids need to learn this. You could be right, you could be wrong, that's not what I'm discussing here. I'm just trying to point out, when Christians typically disagreed with something, at least when I was in school, they would remove themselves or their child instead of forcing everyone else to participate in their ideal. Whereas here, instead of Muslims saying, I disagree with this, my child will not be attending music class, my child will not be attending Christmas presentations, they try to force everyone else into their belief system instead. Islam is a supremacy religion? Yes, 100%. The teacher's complaint about religious conflicts has increased, said the professor of pedagogy at the University of Vecta. I don't know what a professor of pedagogy is. She has been researching the topic for years, and together with researchers from the International University of Applied Sciences, IU, headquartered in Erfurt, has tried to measure the problem nationwide. Because you see, the Christians aren't at war, but the Muslims are. There are so many people who have not realized that we are in a war for a long time. And there are even more people that wish to keep you complacent and not understanding that we are in a war. Whenever someone starts complaining about how oh, this specific person is bringing the culture war. No, the culture war's always been here. You're just now being forced to acknowledge it, and you're a crybaby, so you need someone to lash out at. Your 2025 published survey of almost 700 school social workers and teachers, all forms of schooling in the whole of Germany are not representative, but show that many schools deal with such challenges. A third of the participants report religiously motivated conflicts. Often, it is about tensions between more strongly and less practicing Muslim students. To peer pressure during fasting, during Ramadan, to comply with food regulations or prayer times. Muslims, so sometimes are perpetrators but also victims. Intolerance of other religions is a problem in general. I like how, so nobody could call this article racist, they had to be like, well, sometimes other Muslims are the target of bullying because they aren't actually strict enough adhering to their religious tenets. The educators also deal with how to deal with requests for prayer rooms or Muslim holidays. A quarter of the respondents also reported Islamist tendencies such as misogyny and queer hostility, anti-Semitism, and the rejection of democracy and human rights, which are justified by Islam. How is anyone fucking shocked? Like, when I read stuff like this, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, because it's like, people said this shit decades ago, and then got resoundingly removed and unpersoned. And now it's being written as like it's some sort of fucking crazy awakening, like, oh no, how could this have happened? As for the figures, Stein emphasizes it is a question of whether and which conflicts teachers perceive, not how many pupils are involved in conflicts. Most Muslim students are not affected. It is a small group that, with its behavior, damages the reputation of many Muslim youth. How have these people learned absolutely nothing? I am just, my gas just flabbered. Like, what do I even say to this? What do I even say to this, man? As for the figures, Stein emphasizes it is a question. Oh wait, I already read that part. Amen and Alhamdulillah, a Hamburg high school tries it with a common prayer room. When I hear common prayer room, I hear they made a room to expect like multiple different religions to be able to pray together in that room. I feel like it's only a matter of time until an honor killing is perpetrated in that room. The multifunctional room on the Friedrich Ebert Gymnasium in Hamburg-Harburg is on the first floor. At noon, it becomes the Room of Silence. The students from 9th grade onward can relax, pray, or meditate here during lunch breaks. Next to the door hangs DIN A4 sheet with rules. All students are allowed to use the space at the same time, regardless of gender, culture, religion, or type of use. Anyone who visits must sign up to a list. There are also such rooms in other federal states. In North Rhine-Westphalia has about every 30? I don't know what that means. Thanks, Google Translate. School 1. In Berlin, again, sues the Society for Freedom Rights, especially against the school regulations of a high school because it prohibits the students the visible prayer. The space of silence is not the only expression of religious diversity at the school in Hamburg. In the entrance of the school, garlands with the inscription Eid Mubarak and Ramadan Mubarak hang under the ceiling in March. Muslims wish for a blessed Lent. Until a few weeks ago, Christmas decorations still hung here, says religious expert Marcel Mertens. In the staircase, a colorful picture is reminiscent of Holi, the spring festival that Hindus usually celebrate in early March. So, through the Google Translate, you're telling me it's okay to have stuff for Ramadan hanging in the school. It's okay to have Hindu holiday stuff hanging in the school. But because a couple of people can say, I'm offended by Christmas decorations, you're not allowed to have them? Interesting. At the high school, there are students of almost all world religions. Religion play a major role for many children and adolescents. I'm sorry, this is Google Translate once again. It is good and important that you can feel accepted by jewelry like this? I'm assuming she means it's good and important you can feel accepted by wearing jewelry like this. The garlands, maybe? I don't know. The school takes into account various religious festivals in its annual planning. For example, it does not allow any exams to be written during the Sugar Festival, which ends Lent. Mertens believes that the school has found a way to appreciate all religions and minimize conflicts. The Sugar Festival, often known as Sekur Beyrami in Turkey or Zuckerfest in German, is celebrated by Muslims. Sugarfest sounds like it would be the name of a Libertarian Party gathering. The Room of Silence was set up a few years ago because Muslim youth would have prayed in a shabby basement room during lunch break. We found this very unworthy, says Headmaster Christoph Poselt. I would like to know if these schools allowed prayer in them prior to having Muslim students, like just any kind of prayer from any other religion. Because that's typically not allowed in American schools, right? Like, if you're going to pray, like, you can just go off and do it somewhere yourself, I suppose. But I never saw anyone doing that in school. The basic law guarantees free practice of religion. The room is there for everyone, but is mainly used by some Muslim youths for the midday prayer. Karol Yosef finds this logical. He's 18 and attends the 12th grade at the high school. He's a Catholic and a practicing Christian. He says that he simply does not need such a space. He can pray everywhere and cross himself. For Muslims who bring their forehead, nose, hands, knees, and toes to the ground during prayer, head, shoulders, knees, and toes, knees, and toes. This is different. I will genuinely not understand someone who is a Catholic or a Christian and knows that they get killed pretty much everywhere the Muslim population gets too large, and then this guy is defending this whole thing. I don't know. It just seems illogical. Of course, such a prayer room does not cause all problems to disappear, as a conversation with two students shows. Amalia is a Russian Orthodox Christian and Zilan Muslim, both of whom act as dispute mediators at the school. They are 17, best friends. The different faith is no problem for them, but both know what it means to be marginalized or pressured because of the faith. If I speak. Amalia was in the minority as a Christian in her class. She says that she used to be defamed by a girl of Muslim faith as an infidel. She also had to listen to a saying about her cross, which she wears on a chain around her neck. She said it's only individuals who behave like this, and you never know how serious they are. I genuinely cannot fathom being this naive. Like, how do you get here? Like, even with all-encompassing propaganda, how do you get like this? How do you just lack any kind of self-preservation or critical thinking skills? I do not understand. I do not fucking get it. Zilan has experienced during Ramadan how one of her younger sisters was pressured by fellow Muslim students because she was not fasting. They make comments like that, telling her you have to fast, she says. They would also call Islam the most important religion. That's not okay, says Zilan. However, both dispute mediators do not see a fundamental problem with religious conflicts at the school. Counseling instead of alarmism when religious conflicts are rashly considered extremism. As easily as at the school of Amelia and Zilan, a prayer room cannot be set up everywhere. Conflicts around prayer rooms are a classic in counseling, says Ulf Brennecke. He manages the Legato contact point in Hamburg, which Islamists help with the exit and advice on religiously based conflicts. It is often the first point of contact for teachers who suspect that a student has become radicalized, or when religion is used as a means of pressure in the schoolyard. I feel like that's a little weird, right? Where you have an organization that Islamists help with when you point, like, if you have an Islamist organization and you point to a Muslim and you say, I think this one's being radicalized, what do you think is gonna happen when you give that one you think is being radicalized to the Islamist organization? Why are Germans taken seriously anymore? This is an entire country of women and just should be ignored on the global stage at this point. This country is female. They get training, obviously. Oh my god. Translation is screwy. Yeah, the translation is a little screwy, so I had to like read through it a little bit. But it's like, man, Christian Bohm, head of the Counseling Center for Violence Prevention in the Hamburg School Authority. Can you imagine needing a counseling center for violence protection in a school district? Like, I don't even think we have those in the US. That's insane. Is Germany a word and not an actual place? Oh my god. The UK at least woke up and started fighting back. I feel like Germany is in a unfortunate position where, like, the UK has started fighting back and they have a fucking based lad doing the Restore Britain party. But if Germany started fighting back, I feel like it would get worse for them, considering everyone demonizes Germany because of the Nazi era. Like, I used to love the joke that Germany starts every single world war. But it's like, man, I kind of feel bad. They've, like, become the de facto whipping country. Christian Baum, head of the Counseling Center for Violence Prevention in the Hamburg School Authority, which cooperates closely with Legato, warns against a short circuit. A religious conflict does not equal extremism. Nevertheless, both are thrown into a pot astonishingly frequently, also by educators. I feel like I always make the joke that I have the survival instincts of a plant, but I feel like everyone in this article has even worse survival instincts than that. And I feel like if people have worse survival instincts than I do, much like when I'm the smartest person in the room, we have hit critical error. We have hit there's a fucking problem. From individual cases, the impression of a nationwide threat quickly arises, but there are many conflicts in schools and attention is shifting. In the last school year, there were more requests for advice for the first time right-wing extremism as to Islamism. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, Mr. Bohm, that people were reporting people for right-wing extremism, considering in Germany, right-wing extremism is, hey, maybe we shouldn't let unvetted male migrants of fighting age into our country en masse. Like, that's considered extremism. Klaus Kother is a class teacher at a focal point school in Bonn and active in the education union VBE. He learns of problems in whole North Rhine-Westphalia. For him, religious conflicts are often part of the identity formation of young people. To deal with this is our everyday business. The problem will be if there is no time in school operations to react to conflicts. See, if these were sane people, I'd be like, this makes sense as a way to de-radicalize Islam in general, right? Usher in an enlightenment period that both Christianity and Judaism went through where they stopped mass killing people. Not that I think that would really work en masse, but if that's what it was doing, I'd be like, that at least makes sense, but it seems that that is not what it is doing. Mr. King, thank you. Can we stop treating Islam doesn't want to destroy the West, but you guess these people are aligned in that goal? They're aligned in that goal, but like we've read where there were cities that had LGBT people on their city council, and then once Muslims got in, they were like, all right, no more pride, no more gay shit, get that shit out of here. And they were like, how could you do this? We fed you, we clothed you, we found you cheap housing, how could you backstab us? And they're like, yeah, we don't really get rid of the gay shit, get him out. It's like, how did you not see this coming? Like, what are we doing? A Grit Klinkhammer, what a fun last name. Professor of Empirical Religious Research at the University Bremen has tips of the federal states evaluated, which should help teachers to settle such conflicts. However, the main focus in such handouts is on keeping individual requirements small. Even the demand for a prayer room or the wearing of a headscarf appear to the authorities as a potential problem, says Klinkhammer. According to these brochures, it concludes the role of the school is less to shape diversity than to limit it. I'm assuming this has also been somewhat butchered by the machine translation, but bro, what? Bro, what? There should not be any sort of role of the school in diversity. The role of the school is to teach children to be ready for the outside world, which I believe none of our schools actually do anymore. From their point of view, it was better for federal states that recommend pragmatic compromises. You can allow the burkini in swimming lessons, write classwork in Ramadan in the morning. When fasting, students are not so hungry. Pork does not have to disappear from the canteen, but those who do not want to eat it should be able to recognize this by the counter. Yeah, like, that would make sense, but when you allow the, like, coexistence, eventually it's going to be, well, you can't do the things that you wanted to do anymore. Burkini? I don't know why it's called a burkini, because that evokes imagery of, like, a bikini, when it's not a bikini. It is, let me see, burkini. 3 pieces, woman, Muslim, modest swimwear. Oh, it's a Chinese company, that's why. Yeah, these are like what burkinis look like. They're like full body to kind of keep you covered up. The burqa bikini. Yeah, but it's not a bikini. So this one, she has her hair fully covered. She has her body fully covered. This one also completely fully covered, her hair tucked into the hydro cap. This is the one that was $115. I don't know why. That's crazy. Islam fluencer and crossfolder, religion as a coolness factor and youth culture. What? On a Friday morning, it is at the community school on the Rutli campus in Berlin-Neukölln, so quiet that every step of teacher Mehmet Khan echoes through the empty hallways. The approximately 1,000 students of the school have holidays, and Khan has been teaching ethics, history, and politics for several years. Interesting. I hope that's a college. Khan, child Turkish guest worker, has made an observation that has amazed him. Religion, he said, has become more important again for the identity of students. Question. Hello, yes, this is me raising my hand. Why is Germany importing guest workers as teachers from other countries? Why, that's a question I have. His own socialization was actually much more influenced by religion than that of most of his students. And yet, religion has never had much relevance to me on questions of how I judge things politically. For me, this collective Muslim identity as a unifying element did not exist. It's different today. For me, for example, the Middle East conflict did not play a role in the past. Today, it even has a meaning for Turkish youth, because it is read as a conflict with Jews. Violence among Muslims in other contexts, on the other hand, receives much less attention. I have a question. How are you from Turkey, where the Muslims took Constantinople and made it into Istanbul, and you say the collective Muslim identity is a unifying element that did not exist? What? Like, I would maybe believe this if they were from, like, a non-Islamic country, like America. I would have said the UK, but that's an Islamic country at this point, let's be real. Like, I would have maybe believed that if he was from America, but he's from fucking Turkey. What is he talking about? His parents have been guest workers after World War II. They helped rebuild Germany and were allowed to stay. Those Turks are usually pretty chill and not radicals. Maybe it's like janky translation and they meant to say he was the child of guest workers, and you might be right in that case. Khan said he's watching how Islamist influencers on social media would gain more influence over young people. Oh, we're all watching memory TV. I love those memes. They speak the language of young people, which is a fundamental difference to the traditional old-fashioned mosque communities. Khan sees this with great concern because those contents promoted devaluation tendencies over other religions or ways of life. Focal Point school teacher Klaus Konther from Bonn also finds the importance of religion among young people has generally grown, even among non-migrant students. There were more young people who had a cross who identified themselves as Christians. Classical youth cultures, which are defined by music such as hip-hop or punk, he experiences less and less. That's kind of weird. Delimitation and belonging are again more closely negotiated about religion today. The students of the Friedrich Ebert Gymnasium in Hamburg can also attest to this. Religion is no longer kept private, but it is often posted about it, says Zilan, the 11th grader. On the one hand, she sees enlightening videos, but also many things that fuel division and conflict, especially from Muslim influencers who strictly push for compliance with supposed religious rules. For example, it is discussed whether one should brush one's teeth during fasting, or whether this would no longer count as fasting. So, when I was younger, I was never, like, forced to do fasting like my grandparents did. But, like, sometimes they would give up certain foods for, like, Lent, and obviously I wouldn't be able to eat those because, like, I'm a kid, right? They're the ones cooking for me. So, like, if they gave up, like, chicken or beef for Lent, they would eat a lot of fish, and so I would have to eat a lot of fish. Never in that time was I ever told, like, if I wanted to join, I wouldn't be able to brush my teeth when they were fasting. Never did I see them not brush their teeth if they were full fasting either. So I don't really understand, like, why anyone would think brushing your teeth would break fasting rules. I know Jews have fasting religious holidays too. Is this something that's been discussed during those too, or is this like a weird unique thing? Amelia, the Russian Orthodox Christian from the 11th grade, believes that the presence of Muslim influencers also leads to more young people recognizably professing Christianity. It used to be normal to be Christian in Germany. You didn't have to show it that way, she says. But now there's an increased urge to participate in the discussion and to really represent his religion. You want to show that you belong. Gee, I wonder why, with the rise of Islam, that there are more young people recognizably professing to Christianity. I can't figure out any kind of connection that might make people want to do that. Alright, We got a Ken Kenobi video here. Let's see him talking about the shrine fires.
Hello, it's Ken Kenobi, and emergency news. Japanese shrines and temples and historical places are burning down right now. A lot of people expect that this is done by certain immigrants. Let me have a look. This is 500.
Chad, I know what you're gonna say, but like, he kind of cute.
All I can do right now is put on a brave face and go out there and be their leader.
It's over. 73 years old. Daihoji Temple in Japan. National treasure with priceless artwork got completely destroyed in massive fire. Centuries of culture vanishing overnight. Wow.
うわー暑いなんか近づくと大丈夫か
I feel like it would be a wild coincidence if it just so happened the first year Japan took in like record number of random migrants and then their priceless shrines start burning down.
I knew this is gonna happen. I've been warning this since last year because I've seen so many churches burning down in Europe, and I knew it's gonna happen. I knew it's gonna happen. Like, this is not the first one, by the way. Many a pork farm and chicken farm has been burned down, and also
Japan denies Muslims the ability to bury their dead in Japanese soil, and now shrines are being destroyed. What an odd coincidence. Really gets your noggin jogging, don't it?
temples and also Shinto shrines. Look at this.
これはまずいでしょ。いやー、こんな燃え方しないですよ。火を放たなければ。
Right, like a little like the places that got burned
now,
down.
The guy in Japanese, he was saying that it doesn't burn like that if you don't light it on fire, and he's saying it's not a natural fire. He's basically saying this was arson at this temple.
Sometimes there's no electricity. There is no electricity. Nobody's using fire. There's no cause of fire, and then get burned down.
自然火災じゃないですよこれは。見てくださいよこれ。とんでもない。
Shit, like this is our holy place, you know. Maybe you don't. Maybe you think that, oh, this is like a fake god. Are we gonna burn in hell? Maybe you think that. Is it so funny to burn our shrines? Or is it because Japan is becoming more conservative and being strict about immigrants coming in? For that revenge, you guys are setting fire.
どんな神社でもね一緒なんですよ。靖国だろうが伊勢神宮だろうが。神社が燃やされるっていうことの意味をね、私たちは。
Are they playing the hymn of the faith in the background? Is this Final Fantasy X cloister music? I feel every time I hear like the refrain part of it, I'm just like, I feel like I'm about to do a puzzle with my Titus. I can't tell.
すいません、言葉が出てこないんですけど。
No word for this.
Praise be to Yevon. I swear this is fucking Final Fantasy X music, dude.
Protecting our country and praying in this place for a few hundreds of years.
この意味をね。
I'm pretty sure they're doing this because we are conservative, because we're getting more strict about like the foreigners.
I would actually say it's not even to do with any like being more conservative, right? Japan is probably like the most conservative nation that I can think of that exists that doesn't just execute people for doing progressive things, right? Like, I don't think I could think of another more conservative nation that is not just a de facto dictatorship, right? Which then goes out of the realm of normal conservatism and goes into authoritarianism. But I digress. It's just like, I don't think that has anything to do with it. It's just a way to antagonize and humiliate a sort of we are here and we can burn down the things that you care about because they are not only meaningless to us, they are an affront to us. And you must adapt to us in your country. Your country will become ours, is basically what this is all about. Japan still has hanging, they just don't use it often. I actually think that their way of doing capital punishment is pretty interesting. When they give, like, the death penalty, they have a bunch of men, I can't remember if it's like 4 or 5, but they have a bunch of men in front of switches, and like all of them flip the switch at the same time, so that nobody knows which one of them is the one who actually pulled the real switch that administered the electricity to the death row patient. I was like, that's pretty interesting, so it like doesn't destroy someone's psyche. Give us what we demand or we'll destroy you. Sure doesn't sound like the religion of peace. Ah, but they'll destroy you peacefully through the legal system with which you can do nothing about it.
And specific religion, and they're doing this as a revenge. But like, one thing I want to say is like, it's not gonna help. We're not gonna stop. You do this and it makes us stronger and more conservative. These kind of things gives us more confidence in our decision that we have to get your ass out of our country.
Good, and I hope the majority of the Japanese people have that same mentality. I hope that is the case, because I would not want to see Japan fall to the same issues that have happened in our countries in the West. And it's like, we already have, like, filthy fucking Westerners trying to fuck with Japanese media and sanitizing it and making it into, like, millennial slop writing. And there's other retarded Westerners that defend that because they just don't give a shit about anything from Japan. They don't give a shit about any of the cultural relevance in anything they're consuming. They just want it made for them. I want Japanese cultural things to stay Japanese. I consume them because I like the cultural affect of the Japanese. If they were more Western, I would have less interest. That's not what I'm engaging with it for. Don't UK my Japan. I just was like, I wish they could bring back like translator notes and shit too, because it's like, I liked learning about that stuff. You don't have to replace a mention of a Japanese politician with an American one. I'll be like, who the fuck is that? And I'll look it up. Well, that's like, it's not that difficult. Translator notes were always fun. I remember watching the original Full Metal Alchemist, and there was one episode with a translator note. So like, you had the subtitles on the bottom of the screen and the translator note at the top, and the translator note was like a fucking paragraph. Like, I had to pause in order to read that bitch. I was like, what the fuck?
You know, it's okay. Enjoy the little time. A lot of conservative people like text me, talk to me, oh my god, the shrines got burned and this, that. Bro, I'm not scared. Don't worry. Like, a lot of like people in the United States, Europe, like, I thank you so much for worrying about our country. But I'm gonna tell you that it's okay. It's like,
it better be.
Listen, throughout the history, you know, shrines sometimes get burned down by the war. You know, these things. It happens. And you know,
it happens when everyone understands they're in a war. But do enough people in Japan understand that yet?
Sadly, you know, stupid liberals, you know, bringing in some immigrants from random third world country, and they're setting some fire to our shrines. Yeah, it is a battle. But it's like, to me, right, existence of temple and shrines are very important. At the same time, I'm calm. I know more shrines going to get burned down, and there's nothing we can do about it for now. But what I can do is step by step. My country going to be conservative and kick them out of the country, and we're gonna rebuild the shrines. We're gonna have to, at the end of the day, you know, rebuild. We have to rebuild. That's the most important thing. And also, I'll tell you, like, at the end of the day, the most important shrine's not there, it's here. You know, in your heart. Shrines in your heart. You cannot...
For the religious aspect, yes, I agree, but losing historical artifacts that have been built by who knows how many hundreds or thousands of years ago ancestors that you have, losing that shit should, like, just absolutely burn a fire in your people. Right? Like, again, I'm no longer, like, super religious, right? Like, I don't practice Catholicism. I consider myself agnostic. I get incredibly upset when I see gorgeous historical churches burning down. Or even not gorgeous ones. In the case of like some German towns, when they were making room for more migrants, they were tearing down churches that were like 800, 900 years old. That's not crazy old for Germany, but that's still almost 1,000 years, man. Like that, like think about that. Think about the history in that church, the people who built it, the people who formed the town around it. Like you're still losing something, and for what? Was I ever super religious? I don't know if I would say I was ever super religious, but I mean, I did go to church. I think probably being forced to go to church is what made me be less religious, because it just seemed like I'm compelled to do this, and the more I learn about it, the more questions I have, and the more questions I ask, the more I'm told to pray and not get any actual answers to the questions, which makes it seem like there are things that they either don't know or are not telling me, in which case I don't want to believe anything they say.
Don't let that burn down. I'm not saying you can burn the actual shrine, but as long as shrines and holy remains in your heart, then we can rebuild the shrines again and make my country strong again.
Yes!
Right?
That's what I
Never
like to
gonna
hear.
lose. I didn't.
That's the difference. To you, it's lost. To them, it simply needs to be rebuilt. No. Like, yeah, you can rebuild it, and you can make it as, like, beautiful as it once was. But it was still somebody who purposefully burnt down not only a religious site for people in your country, but a incredibly old historical site for your country. It is still lost. Rebuilding it will not bring back what, like, malicious people burned down. It will be a different structure. You can do it, and I agree, you should do it. I'm not advocating to not rebuild. You should rebuild. But you should also have that fire in you and that ire in you towards people who would maliciously burn down not just a religious site, but a historical one. Right, it's like the people in our country who are taking down statues of, like, Confederate soldiers and stuff. You can acknowledge that the Confederacy lost and that they might not have had some great ideas, but you can also acknowledge this was part of our history and these shouldn't be destroyed. These shouldn't be melted down. What the fuck is wrong with you for doing that? Shouldn't need to be rebuilt to deal with the problem, or it will continue to be a problem? Yes, exactly. Exactly.
No, I have planned to create this video because, you know, this is such a negative news, and I don't really want to, you know, touch this issue. I don't really want to associate with this issue, but I feel like I had to make this video for the community because a lot of you wanted to know, like, my opinion about this. I'm nothing negative about this issue. I take this as a positive things. You know, setting fire on shrines is actually setting fire on Japanese people's heart to fight hard against these barbarians. So I know who did it. Let me have a look. Like, who these days they're putting fire on pork farm. Why do you need to come to a non-Islamic country and then start setting a pork farm on fire?
Yes.
I've never heard of this kind of stuff, like a bunch of pork farm getting fire at the same time. Suddenly, pork farm. Let me have a look at this guy. This is Malay guy. I'm gonna translate, okay? Like, he's saying, like, shrines and temples is where the Satan stays to confuse people. Really? Look at that. You see the shrines and everything? Shaitan. They were trying to make shrines and a temple is the evil place. Bro, when my ancestor built shrine, we did not even know a word Satan. Like, Japan was like completely isolated
Yes.
from, you know, Abrahamic religion. We don't know that word. How the heck our ancestor knew somehow this Satan and we worship in the shrine? We don't even know that. What?
That's crazy that someone would even attempt to say that they're worshiping Satan in their shrines. What the fuck? Professor John Wolfman, thank you. Shrines burn when they're set on fire, Kirsche. It do be like that, Mr. John Wolfman.
Shintoism is not even a religion. God damn. 3rd of January.
I guess, yeah, that's also fair. It's more like a cultural aspected thing more so than a religion, but they do have, like, gods in it, so it's just simpler to say religion for the most of us.
Pork farm in Hokkaido was set on fire, was burned, and 20th of February got,
Wait
the
a
pork
minute.
farm in Aichi got burned down, another pork farm in April again. These are all the things.
So, I mean, obviously I can't read this, and you didn't go through the entire list, but, like, I'm assuming with the emojis, like, this is a pork farm, January, February. In April, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 farms, 2 pork, 1 chicken, 2 cow. And then I guess this one is separate from the farm, so these must be historical site fires, and 2 of them have the Shinto gate, so those must be the shrines that burned down, and the other ones are just regular historical sites. That's kind of crazy. January, February, March, not March, April, and then May. We're only 5 months in, and they've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 farms, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like, shrines and other historical stuff burned down. Shrines and temples. That's insane. Burning churches, shrines, and statues as part of their religion and culture. Yep. I remember when I was younger watching, like, some giant Buddhist statues get torn down by ISIS and being like, why would anyone allow this? Like, why would anyone look at this and think that, like, oh, this is a religion of peace? Like, not only are they destroying artifacts, they're trying to destroy the history so people in the future will not even know anything about, like, where they lived or grew up or came from. It was the Taliban who destroyed the biggest Buddhas all the way back in the 80s, and the world still hasn't learned. I don't remember the ones in the 80s. I do remember watching a video, and I don't remember if it was in the 2000s or the 2010s, but there was a video of, and I'm pretty sure it was ISIS, who were tearing down these large, they looked like terracotta color, but I don't know what they were made out of. They were like 2 large Buddhist statues. I don't think they were of the Buddha, but they were Buddhism statues that were, like, set into a cliffside.
That got burned down this year. One thing that I want to tell you, everybody, is that I don't want you to feel negative. Negativity is not bring any good fortune for our life. We have to stay positive. That's why when I do YouTube channel, I'll try to be funnier than being sad or angry, you know. So I hope you have a...
I try the same thing. Often people be like, Kirsche, you read so much depressing stuff. How do you stay chipper? And it's like, well, you just fucking gotta, man. Like, if you give in to the black pill, that's when you start giving up, and you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. None of this matters, man. And it does. And, like, if I start being more, like, depressing instead of encouraging people to get involved and do more, then more people will also get depressed. Like, I want to be a force for good, a force for people to, like, understand, yeah, things might be bad, but it's getting better, and I can even do things myself to help improve it. Emotions are contagious, good and bad. Abso-fucking-lutely. Absolutely. Respect for this
Great
guy.
day. May force be with you. Kenobi. Bye.
Mm.